Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances while the township sued.
Politics, as they say, is a filthy game, but in the little village of Dolton, Illinois, the drama between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her former ally trustee, Carmen Carroll, has escalated betrayal and corruption to startling new heights. If you think there are enough scandals and celebrity gossip, wait till you hear about this one photo. It's a political soap opera so vivid that it could match anything on television, telling of power abuse and the dissolution of once unshakable ties.
Everybody is the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is.
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's.
What is going on with Tiffany Henyard and Carmen Carroll? For years, these two were as close as they could be, partners in every way, and some could even say partners in crime. Henyard, who once proudly referred to herself as the super mayor of Dolton, ruled with an iron fist, loved using her power, and frequently displayed it with an arrogance that offended many. But despite her contentious, Carol Henyard's right-hand woman was the trustee who previously stood by her, defending her choices and ignoring the scandal surrounding Henyard's tenure. However, everything changed when Carol abruptly changed the course of events and is now posing as a whistleblower, exposing Henyard's actions and leaving everyone wondering why and what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next.
As a prelude, let's go back a little. Although Tiffany Henyard was elected mayor of Dolton in 2021 with the promise of change and prosperity for the village, her administration was soon embroiled in scandal due to accusations of misusing public funds and retaliating against political opponents. As a result, her time in office was anything but smooth, and the residents of Dolton became increasingly irate with her leadership. For 2 years, however, it seemed that Carol remained faithful to the mayor, despite her actions becoming increasingly dubious. Expensive travels paid for by taxpayers, excessive personal. Many people were surprised by Carol's extravagant lifestyle and almost autocratic management style, but for reasons that are still unknown, she remained silent, until now. In an email statement sent to the WGA, Carol recently made shocking accusations against Henyard. She said that Henyard had acted unethically and predatorily during her tenure in office, and that the mayor had manipulated residents, vendors, and employees to increase her own power while presenting a false picture of success that was paid for by Dolton's hardworking taxpayers.
So that's one of the reasons I won't know when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question.
Carlisle went on to acknowledge that she had trusted Hen and her administration for too long, but she was unable to remain silent after realizing the flaws in the facade. People are now wondering why Carlisle changed her mind so quickly. Now that the ship is in port, is she attempting to right the wrongs of the past, or is she just trying to save herself? Naturally, sinking Henyard did not take this betrayal lightly. In a public meeting, she teased Carlisle, calling her Lime Carlisle, and rejected the trustees' allegations as a last-ditch effort to create a commotion. Carlisle's public betrayal of Henyard, who is notorious for using threats and insults to suppress her detractors, was obviously unexpected.
Get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure that.
Nevertheless, why did Carlisle decide to speak up at this particular moment? Henyard is currently under federal investigation for a long list of alleged crimes, including corruption, misappropriation of taxpayer funds, and even concealing an alleged assault by one of her colleagues when Carlisle abruptly decides to come clean about everything she's seen over the past 2 years while on a work trip in Las Vegas. The FBI is stepping up its investigation into Henyard. Is this just a coincidence? Or is Carlisle attempting to put the mayor out of her mind before it's too late?
A one day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is,
as the pressure mounts on Henyard, Elle is trying to portray herself as a hero who finally confronted the Dolton dictator, but the people of Dolton aren't buying it. For years, she was one of Henyard's most devoted supporters, never questioning the mayor's decisions or the dubious ethics of her administration. Convinced she's just bailing on a sinking ship, a local said, echoing the opinions of many who think Carlisle is equally responsible for the corruption that has afflicted the village. Many people feel that anyone who backed Henyard ought to be removed, and Carlisle's attempt to back off now is too little too late. The outrage is understandable. The accusations made against Henyard are many, and the damning among the most obvious problems is her exorbitant spending patterns. The village spent more than $9,000 on a trip to Atlanta alone, where Henyard and her entourage stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel, according to reports. In just a few months, they racked up over $100,000 in travel expenses, including first-class flights, stays at five-star hotels, and extravagant dinners, all paid for by taxpayer dollars.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
But it doesn't end there. Henyard is also charged with utilizing village funds to go on personal shopping sprees at stores like Amazon, Target, and Walgreens. In one particularly startling case, she allegedly spent $33,000 on Amazon in a single day. Unsurprisingly, given the $561 million success, Dolton is currently facing a $365 million deficit when the village owned the Henyard. When she first took office, she oversaw financial malfeasance that went beyond personal spending. During her tenure, police overtime costs rose, with some officers earning more in overtime than their base yearly wages. One officer made $87,200 in base pay. Another officer who was paid $73,500 earned an extra $127,000 in overtime, on top of the $110,000 in overtime alone. The scandals don't end there. Henyard closed. Louis Lacey, the Allied Deputy Police Chief, was charged with bankruptcy fraud after allegedly hiding assets and income to evade paying creditors.
That the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing.
Henyard's leadership, or rather, her lack of it, has come under intense scrutiny. She is frequently characterized as someone who doesn't understand the true meaning of leadership, confusing authority with intimidation, as one observer put it. Tiffany believes that being a boss equates to being a bully. For the first time, she doesn't know how to be a leader, believing that managing is about being a boss rather than a huge responsibility. Perhaps the most disturbing accusations against Henyard involve her. Former Dolton trustee Valeria Stubbs has accused Henyard of using the police department to target political opponents. She claims that Henyard planned a drive-by shooting at her home as payback for criticizing the mayor. According to Stubbs, 2 of her tenants' cars were shot at in the early morning, and she believes Henyard was responsible for the attack. She also claims that Henyard harassed her repeatedly, showing up at her house with a group of police and city employees to intimidate her.
Officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around.
Then there is the scandal of the assault. During a work trip to Las Vegas, one of Henyard's allies allegedly inappropriately assaulted a village employee. When the victim told Henyard about the incident, the mayor reportedly tried to conceal it, telling the victim that going public would damage her reputation. The victim was later put on unpaid leave and ultimately fired. This incident has only increased calls for Henyard and her ally to resign. This agreement, although Carlisle's attempts to disassociate herself from Henyard are not surprising, many believe it is too little too late. Carlisle's involvement in some of Henyard's most dubious acts, such as the $110,000 donation to Henyard's cancer charity on the same day the foundation's paperwork was filed, raises serious concerns about her integrity. Her abrupt choice to come out after years of silence further strengthens the theory that she is attempting to protect herself.
And unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some.
As one irate citizen stated, Why can't we have transparency with our tax dollars? It's our money, and we have a right to know how it's being spent. However, the community's disenchantment with Henyard and her administration isn't limited to the residents of Dolton. As more Henards are being uncovered by legal pressure, Carlisle's treachery may be the first step in the tide of change within Dolton's government. Will the Henyard administration fall under the weight of its own corruption? Will more trustees come forward, or will they continue to protect themselves by remaining silent? What about Corral? Will she be held responsible for her role in all of this, or will she be able to distance herself from Henyard's downfall? Allies may start leaving the once powerful supermayor alone and vulnerable.
Administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily.
It's obvious that change is desperately needed, but will it come from within, or will outside intervention be necessary to finally clean up the mess? Only time will tell. In the meantime, the residents of Dolton are left wondering, who can I trust with my local government in gambles and leaders more focused on self-preservation than serving the community?